Good morning, Seth here. Just a wee update on this Japanese longbow that I'm making. This Yumi. Take a drink each time I see Yumi. Ugh. Yeah. To those who don't know, normally a Yumi is a composite bow, so made up of bamboo and other woods. You plane them nice and flat and you glue them all together and you try and create effectively what the U branch has made on its own here, which is a dense wood for the belly, then a stretchier, fast moving material for the front. U sapwood is very fibrous and very bendy, and then the heartwood is very dense, so it makes it great bow material, good enough to make longbows out of. So you can make English longbows out of it just fine, so why wouldn't you be able to make it Yumi? So, excuse me, where did we get to last night? I took all the bark off of this guy. That's a good time to talk about. Well, what I wanted to do first is sort of stick to the principles of making a bow from yew first, and then we can sort of get strict with how the thing is supposed to look, the overall shape, and the shape it adopts when it's strung, because that will that defines how far you can draw it, where it braces to, and the power, the speed, all these sorts of things. But the first thing we have to do is make a stave that works, which we have done. So you can pull off these bows with imperfections on the front. You just got to be mindful and leave extra material around knots. But a completely clean one like this on the back, yeah, it definitely has a charm of its own, huh? I think it's quite reminiscent of the bamboo, obviously missing the nodes that you would have on the bamboo. But very clean, very nice. And the way that we know we have a nice solid piece, let's find something nice and hard here, is that pop. Sounds real good. We'll do the other limb as well. There we go. Sounding very solid. So we got a nice piece of wood. The thing that I am considering right now in terms of setting its shape is the undulations. So there's no branches coming out of the back of the bow here. All these knots are left over, well, they're nodes, and they were left over from the other side of the bow. Branches coming out this way, and that's all gone now. I imagine if we keep going, these knots could well disappear. But it's this undulation and the extra material left on the nodes that I'm a bit concerned about. Because as it is, it's actually got quite a nice shape, top limb. Sort of back sets towards the archer a bit and then recurves. So we're going to need to, yeah, I'm tempted to leave that limb alone for the first part, and if we're going to shape anything, we'll shape this one first, because this one is not the right shape. I think the limb's supposed to come more like this and then recurve here. So yeah, I'm going to need to take a bit more material away from there and then take a dig at shaping it. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I do not know. I think really this wants to come like that, but I don't want to force this bend here too much. You could end up with a split. It will just break here. Yeah, it might be a good candidate for steaming this limb. At first we'll get rid of a bit more material. So that's the shape sort of coming together. That's the main decision being, do I try and flatten these out? Yeah, that's the other main principle. So forget making a Yumi. If you concentrate on making a U bow, or any U bow, any bow I would wager actually, you need a taper. So they're thinner up at the tips, and then gradually it gets thicker and thicker until you end up at a wedge, and it ramps up to the handle. And you do that on this profile, and you do that on this profile as well. With your longer bows, it's not going to be as dramatic, but it is definitely going to be there, because that's how you create a nice clean bend, sort of shared down the whole limb. It doesn't stack in there. See, I wager it will stack here if I was to string it and bend it now. So it'd stop bending here, and it would put all the bend into here, And then maybe also here, so we'd hinge everywhere. It's already sort of bent. But I don't know, because being a self bow, the branch has grown this way, so it's made itself strong. But I've also taken material away from that structure, so I've made it weak. So with this top limb is I'll have to get it strung and see how it behaves, I think. So we can maintain this waviness in there, but also have it, behave as it should. So have the recurve set so the string doesn't come off and it moves nice and quickly. Then it'll be a unique looking bow, like they always are, these U branches. Yes, the next principle then to talk about is the string length. So for Selfknocks, which we're going to do, you need 1.25 inches, which is, well, you need a decent amount of material, let's say, so that your string doesn't break off the end of your bow and then break the rest of it. So we leave 1.25 inches. Well, I have done for this one because I've got 77 inches to play with here. So I've given 1.25 inches to each end, each knock. This second line is where the groove sort of runs towards. You need 3/4 inch there as well. But yes, with 1.25 inches on either end, this gives me a 70. What was it? It was 77. It's 75.5 inch bow. Now I've got a string for a longbow. I'm made for a 76 inch longbow. That string is 3.5 inches shorter than 76 inch knock. So if I use that string on this bow, it's going to give it 3 inches shorter than the knocks that I've measured on, which might be okay. That is the ratio you need for an English longbow. Deflex Reflex design wants a 3.5 inch shorter string than the knocks. So maybe that's what it wants. I don't know. If anyone knows, please do tell me. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same as an English longbow, but I could be wrong. I will just trial and error it otherwise, if it means ordering up another string. Well, which it will do anyway, because the serving material for the string I have will be about here, which is no good. So I need to get one with or reserve it, so it's asymmetrical, 1/3 up. Yeah, it's it's looking good. So yeah, that's the principles you want to hold to. So first, you sort of respect what the U needs you to do, and it has its own ideas of how to be a piece of wood, as you can see. So I'm going to negotiate. I want it to look a certain way. I want need it to be a certain shape, so it braces and draws and behaves as it should. But at the same time, you can't violate the structure. If it's strong in a certain way, it needs to stay there. Yeah, so next step, I will thin this limb down a little bit more. It's still pretty thick here. Once again, I don't really know how it's going to behave, how much this limb needs to bend compared to this one, how that's going to act on the arrow, if that ratio isn't correct. But I think what I need to do is well, firstly I'm going to go and just look at as many Yumis as I can, and see what shapes they typically adopt. In the traditional setting, I mean, I think they're quite strict about what shape they have to be. So if you know anything about longbows, they can be all manner of different shapes, especially with your U stuff. Yeah, the handle, that's another consideration. So it does duck in quite nicely here. Any suggestions would be welcome. Get on the spoke horse. We've got enough material to run the draw knife still and not worry about damaging it too badly. The tricky part here is figuring out exactly how much sapwood you've got and how much heartwood you've got left. because that is where you can ruin things if you go too far. Create a hinge, so a thin spot here. That means you've got to go too thin down here. That's just a case of very carefully sculpting what you want out of this piece of wood. Thanks for dropping in, everyone. Thanks for everyone who's subscribed, and if you want to help me keep on doing these things, yeah, a sub would be really very nice. I'm looking forward to this getting strung up, but they're a lot of work. My wrists and my forearms are ruined, so I haven't got power sanders, belt sanders and things to do this with, so it's all with the card scraper, draw knife, rasp. Might not be as traditionally beautiful a process as what they do in Japan, with wrapping the thing up, and they glue their pieces of wood together and then they twine it all up before the glue sets. They wrap it up in twine and they force wedges in at certain points, and that forces it to bend in the way that they do. So yeah, it might not be as long and beautiful as that, but there is an awful lot of scraping. It's all just manual work, so I hope I earn my turn, earn a bit of respect from the Yumi community. Thanks again, everybody. I'll see you in the next one.